Hi, everyone. This is Shannon Port, and I welcome you to a very special Art of the Feminine podcast today. We're actually going live on Facebook. I was just over at my YouTube channel and the platform changed and I wasn't aware of it. And so I wasn't able to do a live stream. So I decided to move over to Facebook, and it's really great to be here. This is the first time that I'm doing a full moon live stream here. Today, we are going to be talking about something really, really powerful. And I'll try to keep the continuity with this new platform and checking in with who's here. We're going to be talking about the Aquarius full moon. The Aquarius full moon is happening in August. It's happening on August 15th. And there's a lot of really powerful symbolism in this full moon. If you're new to my work, or if we have not met before, if you're tuning in for the first time, I would like to say that I have a platform on Facebook called Art of the Feminine, and we're actually here live today. And I specialize in working with the divine feminine wisdom and all of the magical, esoteric, archetypal wisdom around human consciousness. And so we use this wisdom in the astrological platform to look at what is going on in the consciousness of the human race. And so, good to see you. So yes, if you're new, if you're coming on, you can, if you like the video, I'll know that you're here, I'll see you, and feel free to share it as well. So this is a really, really big week for the human race. And we are going to be talking about just how real it is that humanity is waking up. I want to say that never before have I had so many emails, so many texts, so many meetups with people on the street that are saying that they are so aware that the world is changing. It's happening right now before our eyes. It's happening on a global scale. It's not just any one country. And so what I also want to say about that before we dive into the world is waking up is that I've been talking, when I talk to people, I talk to everybody. I have no problem with talking to people who have completely different beliefs or ideological systems than myself. I like to talk to people of every race, every religion, every paradigm, every sex, every culture, every every taste and every age, and find out where people are at right now. It's so important that we do that, because right now, more than anything at this time, with the world waking up, we need to talk to each other. We need to not let those in power dictate to us who is good and who is not good. When we each reach out in humanity and talk to each other, you will find that the people that you were most afraid of, you will find that the people that you thought were so different than yourself, you'll find that the people who you thought were on the right or on the left, liberal, conservative, neo this, neo that, are going to have a lot more in common with you than you might have known before. The truth is that at the heart level, we're all human beings. We all want to speak, we all want to be heard, we all want to be able to trust in something and believe in something. And what's happening in the world now is that the only thing we're going to have to believe in is ourself and each other. What we're seeing happening is an undermining of the whole entire system. I just was watching I watched a Joe Rogan interview with Graham Hancock. It was about 8 months old, and I've read some of Graham Hancock's books. I'm really familiar with his work. But he was talking about what's changed for him in the past 20 to 30 years since he's been writing. He writes about the hidden history of the earth, of the planet itself. And he was saying, back in the beginning, he used to get laughed at walking down the street by all the legitimate people, all of the people who were considered the decorated scientists, the decorated institution, the teachers and the professors and the scientists. They all laughed at him. Now his work is being validated in such huge ways. And so I am familiar with his work. I'm not promoting everything that he believes in, but he said something very, very powerful. And what he said, and it had to do with what I've been writing about so much, is that Joe asked him, he said, well, what's different? Like, what's really different than the way it used to be? And he said, What's different now is that the old authorities are no longer trusted, that the people in general, it doesn't matter who you are, look to the old authorities, those we used to place our trust in, our governments, our religious leaders, our financial people, are even in some of the sciences. We used to put our trust in them 100% and believe that we could be told what the reality was, and we were safe with that. We felt okay about that. He said now everybody's questioning, and so people are using, for the first time, and I'm adding this because this has to do with the work that I do, people were using our creative imaginations. We are now free to actually use our God-given talent to dream, to come up with our own ideas, to reach beyond the limits and the constructs, the imaginary limitations and constructs of this reality. Everybody is probably very aware that we have a lot of activity in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn rules, oh, it's so good to see all of you here. Capricorn rules our institutions. Capricorn also rules physical structures. It rules belief systems. It rules what a lot of people would call the patriarchy, but it's not just the patriarchy. It's what we've built and the fabric and the belief system we've built it on. So Capricorn with the Pluto transit is being completely deconstructed and regenerated and reworked. There is I can't wait I'm going to jump right into the aspects in just a second, but Capricorn, Pluto's in Capricorn, the South Node is in Capricorn, Saturn is conjunct the South Node in Capricorn at, I believe, 14 degrees at the time of the Aquarius full moon. And we're moving into the astrology of 2020, January, where we're going to have again the exact conjunction, Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, and we're going to see the entire world, if not before then, is on its way to becoming a completely new reality. So let's look at the aspects, and then we'll get into, I want to talk about the Age of Aquarius. This is one of my favorite things to talk about, but this is the Aquarius full moon. If you're just joining, we normally do this. I normally do this. I'm going to have to put the recording up on YouTube. I normally do it on YouTube, but the YouTube platform was down, so I'm over here doing this on Facebook, which is kind of fun to be here. So let's look at the full moon. The full moon is happening on the 15th. It's in the sign of Aquarius. It's at 22 degrees. It's going to be in exact square with Vesta. Vesta is our high priestess. She is the keeper of the flame in the mythological paradigms and mythologies that govern our consciousness. Vesta has been given the platform of the Vestal virgins that hold the flame. Now, the Vestal virgins really are having to do with the purity of the subconscious mind. There's a layer of our subconscious mind that's very pure. It's that level that's able to keep the flame and keep the Christic force alive for humanity. In other words, what it's saying is not that you have to be a virgin to be spiritual or to be tuned in or to be in alignment with this age, but there has to be the purest part of your consciousness to hold the Christ force, the Christic force. This is all about consciousness. And so Vesta squaring the full moon, giving it a challenge to rise up and to wake up. Across from the full moon we have, and this is really exciting because I talked about it at the Lionsgate portal, which, by the way, we're just coming out of Lionsgate portal as we enter into the Aquarius full moon. We have the Sun and Venus at 22 degrees of Leo. So the Sun and Venus are also squaring Vesta. This is all coming from fixed signs, Aquarius, Taurus. Vesta is in Taurus, by the way, at 22 degrees, which is perfect placement for her. And Venus and the Sun, sacred union partners, are together in Leo. Powerful energy that's happening here. It's a T-square. It's powerful. All right, this is alchemy. This is alchemy, and this is the human race waking up. So Mars is in Leo as well, and Mars is in the action. Mars is conjunct Juno. Juno is an advocate for women's rights, but also relationships. So Juno is in the action with Mars. There's a lot of activity in Leo. Leo is the heart, so this heart energy, creativity, but also Leo also controls the illusion. The shadow of Leo is this whole construct the Hollywood created, engineered by law of suggestion, illusion that humanity is bought into. I mean, from where I'm looking at it, we are going to see things in such a different light very, very soon, if not already. When you have normal people that are questioning everything, they're not, I mean, everybody's good, because we know we've recently had some very serious crimes in human trafficking. We've had a suicide in a very high security prison that should not have happened. Everybody's questioning it, and it could not have come at a more perfect time. We don't know the full situation, but all we know is that this has been something to push us over the edge. We're over the edge now. There's no going back. The door is open. We've walked through it, and now all we can do is go forward. So a couple more on the planets, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the philosophical and the archetypal wisdom. Jupiter is stationed direct as of August 11th in Sagittarius. I talked about this in the Lionsgate portal video that's on this, that's on the page as well. The link is still up. Jupiter is direct, and Jupiter is conjunct the great attractor. Jupiter and squaring Neptune. Neptune is in Pisces at 17 degrees. This square has been going on all year, but this is really activating a huge vortex of energy, a vortex that pulls in and pushes out cosmic light, intelligence, and wisdom. And so Jupiter is also very magnetic, magnetizing it. It was very, very active at the Lionsgate portal. But right now, it's very significant that Jupiter has stationed direct right at 14 degrees Sagittarius. Saturn at 14 degrees Capricorn at the time of the Aquarius full moon. We mentioned that Saturn is conjunct the South Node. So what this shows is, just take a moment. This shows that this is a karmic period for humanity, but a blessed karmic period, a sacred karmic awakening. We are waking up. If you're just joining the video, it's great to see you. And please feel free to like the video. It lets me know how many people are here. And also you can feel free to share it. We'll be going on for another 10 or 15 minutes. So it's karmic. In other words, it's time for humanity to face one of our shadows. And we're going to be facing everything. Right now, we have in Hong Kong, we have protests that we've never seen before. We have the protests in France that have been ongoing. We have protests, I think it's Puerto Rico. We have, I mean, this is only just the beginning. Everything has become what I used to always call a goat show. What we have is that in goat show, the goat is Capricorn. Capricorn is the devil. In the sacred archetypes, it's the devil, and it's ruled by the goat. So there's a shadow side to the goat, and there's also a hugely very important side to this. But right now, the shadow side, in kind of making fun, is it's a goat show. We're seeing incompetence. This right now, the Age of Aquarius is about competence. It's about human genius. This full moon is ruled by Uranus. Uranus is stationing retrograde I believe it was on the 11th. So Uranus stations retrograde as the ruler of this full moon at the time of the full moon. That means we're going to go back. It's time to go back. It's time to rework. Uranus governs Aquarius. It's about genius. It's the Fool in the Tarot. It's about the limitless light. It's about opening the galactic center and receiving through our pineal gland, through our pituitary gland, through our third eye, anchoring it into our heart and lighting up all of our centers. So we have this energy of Aquarius is about genius. It's about human creative imagination. It's also about the elevation of the individual to meet the group, because it's about brotherhood. It's about sisterhood. It's about humanhood. It's about our alliance with the earth, with Gaia Sophia, and our alliance with the animals, with the animal kingdom, the earth kingdom, the mineral kingdom, the plant kingdom. This is about an alliance of one life with everyone's individual particular power. Aquarius honors the individual. It's about genius. Remember, Aquarius is about the one that goes against the grain, because it's about the inventor. It's about the leader. It's about the one who marches to their own drum. And this is what has been suppressed in humanity. I'm going to take a second, slow down for just a second, see if there's any questions. Oh, nice to see you from Germany. Yes, let me know where you are. In fact, when I did the Lionsgate portal video, I went back, I think there was about 25 countries here. So please, I would love to hear where you're viewing this from. It just shows brotherhood and sisterhood on earth, and it's humanityhood. The fact is that, and I work with people in my work, in my mentoring, in my teaching, in all of my courses, I work with people from every religion, every gender, every country on the planet. I'm not kidding. It's oftentimes the countries where we think people are so like repressed and can't think or haven't had access to spiritual teachings or the high teachings, where I'm shocked to see that they know more. And oftentimes it's because of repression that people have gone within and discovered the light themselves and understood that we have far more power than we are being told. You know, everybody wants to control information. This is what Graham Hancock was basically saying, like, everyone's fighting to control information. This is the information age. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. It governs technology. Information is meant to flow freely. Freedom of speech at all costs is to be avoided. All of this, there are definitely places where we have things being expressed that are absolutely not right. But if we're mature and we have our discernment and we understand our power, obviously we're going to not engage in that. And we have to trust that humanity knows, enough people in humanity know right from wrong, that we do not need to have any restrictions on speech. You know, we could break that down further. I want to say if there's much more, and we're going to do a specific video on that because I can't go into all the details. Obviously, the nuances and the subtle points that can be made and some of the more obvious points are also very, very true. But all human beings have the power to speak. It's the power of the word, which is awakening in this age. We need to have that power. We need to be free to explore ideas and not be laughed at, not have every single thing that's outside of the box be called the C word, which is a big way to control people. I'm not even going to say that word on this channel because I don't believe in that. I believe that where people are wanting to question things, they need to and have every right to. No one institution is to control the narrative. And what's happened is that the narrative is controlled. I mean, if you haven't discovered that by now, oh, it's nice to see you. If you haven't had some feeling of that by now, that the narrative is bought, sold, bought, and paid for. Everything is paid for. In our world, everything is paid for. That's just the reality. So what we need to do is not feel like victims, not blame. This is what I'm going to talk about in just a minute. We need to activate our power to be the trigger. What happens is that the emotional body, and that's why I call it the feminine and the awakening and healing of the feminine, is just used. All you have to know is any basic psychology 101 in an advertising, graduate course to know how easy it is to manipulate the consciousness of the group. All you have to do is hit an emotional trigger and watch the emotional body go here, go there, go here, go there. It's like a puppet on a string. But we forget that. That's Leo. That's the sign of Leo, because Leo rules that illusion. It rules theater, it rules film, it rules Hollywood, it rules the law of suggestion. But what happens is when we're told that we have to believe one narrative, it's done. And people get lazy. Human beings we've been trained to be lazy. And I know this from my son, who, we talk a lot about the educational system, and kids and children are not really encouraged to think outside the box. They're told, look, it's like this is how it is, develop this, and you will move forward. You will climb up the ladder. If you develop these ideas that we're telling you are the ideas, you will move up. And so what's happened is that's gone. The days of that are gone, as at least right now, because we don't have the full censorship in place, but that is projected, but that I don't believe. We'll see how it's going to go. But what happens is that now the younger generation, because they've been exposed to so much, they've ignited a new passion for discovering things on their own. I know from having a 14-year-old and watching him grow up, they are trailblazers, they are initiators, they want to discover, they don't want to be told, they want to, you know, granted, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of disinformation, misinformation, there's all kinds of things. But if you have your compass on, if your heart is real, if it's active, if it's awake, which we have all this energy in Leo, you are allowed to feel for yourself what you believe. Now, remember, the thing is that we get lazy, and when we get lazy, we don't tend to look outside the narrative. That's over. The Age of Aquarius is putting an end to that. It's inviting everyone to get on their genius and to share and to talk to everybody. The Age of Aquarius, and with Jupiter in its own sign in Sagittarius, it's about truth. It's about internet. It's about breaking down boundaries and believing in our fellow human beings, seeing each other for who we really are. Look past it all. Look past you know, I'm seeing more and more videos of people throwing politics out the window. Once you put yourself right, left, even, let me say what I've discovered. What I've discovered is that, is that on the right, on the left, equally the same amount of evil people on both sides, on the left, on the right, the same amount of brilliant genius people on both sides, on the left, on the right, the same amount of compassion, power, creativity, and genius. It's not that's the problem. It's the polarity planet mentality that keeps human beings warring at each other. Age of Aquarius is to put an end to all of that. And so I'll look down if anybody has any questions or any things oh, I see there's a lot more. Who has the heart to control others, and for what purpose? That's a good comment. So I'm going to say that I'm going to see what we can say about that. Why would people want to control other people? Why? Well, the human being has an animalistic DNA and a divine DNA, and they're blended together. They've been merged. We have mated with the dark. That's what we call the fall. And it's nice to see you guys liking the video because it helps it get shared. So I appreciate it. And it helps me to see that you're here. What's happened is we have an animal side, and the animal side, and this is nothing against animals, because animals in the natural kingdom are in the matrix. They don't have the same kind of free will that human beings have. We have free will. We can think moment to moment, although there's a lot of mind control that also is part of that. But we need to understand that we have the ability to build, to choose, to rewrite the story, to tell stories. We can create stories. We can fantasize. We can travel to other places in our human imagination that other species are more plugged into the Earth matrix, which is plugged into oftentimes the lower reality. It's bound in the 3D matrix. So, all right. So where was I going with that? What happens? Why would people want to control other? Well, heart energy is the energy of creation. And so in order to keep the 3D matrix built and together, we need heart energy. We need people pouring their hearts into false belief systems and narratives that keep us there and don't ask us to, you know, any narrative that's telling us that we hate each other, any narrative that's strongly pushing the hatred in any kind of social politics or social idealism, you mean that's pitting people against each other rather than saying, hey, let's talk to each other, is a no-go at this time. Don't do it. Don't waste your life force. Don't waste your heart energy is meant for your own creative imagination. I know I'm coming in strong with this, but I think it was because I had the delay on YouTube to Facebook. They want to really get this message out for the full moon. Break the rules. That's Uranus. Uranus governs Aquarius. Break the rules and be friends with people that you're not supposed to be friends with. Read books of people that you might not thought you liked. Learn from other human beings, because For the most part, anyone who's good is going to contribute something and start a conversation where we can come together rather than kill each other. Because let me tell you, from what the darker side of consciousness, that animal consciousness that wants to usurp heart energy, usurp our attention, and keep us in that hatred and greed and grind, wants is for us to just hand that power over. I work with artists on this channel. I work with on the Facebook page, Art of the Feminine. I work with visionary artists. I'm really and I enjoy classical art as well, and Renaissance art, and abstract art, and all of it. But I primarily post, and started this page to post visionary art of people who want to break through the barriers and see beauty as it is in its flowing form, to see beauty in a way through the higher faculties, through the heart, through the divine merging of our inner masculine and feminine, to understand color and sound and tone and movement and geometry and light, and how it's a representation of our mind, our true mind. So if we want to be in our power, this is what I wanted to say. So I talked about triggering the emotional body. What I want to say is that we need to be the triggers. We need to be the triggers. Don't be triggered by ignorance and incompetence. Be the trigger yourself. Okay, I'm going to look at and see if there's anything else. North Node in Cancer. I did a huge video on the sign of, this is the return of the cosmic mother. We're downloading mother energy at this time. We'll talk more about that in a future video. Mercury's direct. Mercury's in Leo, flying forward, and that means communication from the heart. It could also mean communication from the illusion. Choose the heart and choose to be the writer of your destiny. All right, I'm going to go into a couple more things that what the Age of Aquarius means. It's so much fun to see your smiley faces and hearts. Yes, feel free to like the video and share it, and keep it moving while we do the Facebook Live for about another maybe 10 minutes. So the Age of Aquarius is about truth. It's also about responsibility. It's about gnosis, inner discovering of the truth, not outer. We can still have mystery schools and religions. We can still have even a hierarchy of power. It's natural that we have different governing levels, different levels of competence, different levels of creativity that help. But it's based on merit and love and wisdom, not on money, power, and the old guard, how it's always been. Moving up is based on the merit of the heart and of wisdom and the balancing of the emotional energy and the ability to be visionary. That's why visionary artists are very key at this time. Anyone, visionary, I consider myself a visionary writer, often speaker and teacher. When you're visioning the whole and receiving and working from the heart and all the other centers, you're able to see the big picture. You're not going to fall for the old, what we've been in lockdown on. So it's also about experiential knowledge, not just being told something, but being able to experience it in your heart and have the aha. Well, let's just say this. Aquarius is revelation. Aquarius in the archetypes is the star, and it represents Zadi, the fish hook. I work with the deep esoteric wisdom and have done a very deep translation of all of it into the divine feminine wisdom. Zadi is the fish hook that goes down during meditation, during creativity, and receives the brilliance and the genius and the creative ideas. This is the sign of Aquarius. It's the star. It's one of my favorite archetypes, and it represents our ability to birth and open the heart. It's very connected to Venus. As we all know, Venus is a huge player in this age of the feminine and the awakening and the sacred union of masculine and feminine, the regeneration of all of those things within us. So the true esoteric meaning of Aquarius is revelation. That's why Aquarians and Aquarius energy is genius. It's revealed, it's divine gnosis, and it's meant to be expressed through creativity. Uniqueness. Be unique, be yourself, because you want to be. We have to say something about that. In this age, there's a lot of agendas that are trying to push people into chaos and to push people more into the animal instincts. If something resonates with you, if it's who you really are, then fine, go with it. But don't be pushed. This is also an age of grace and beauty and art and harmony and equilibrium. There's a lot of esoteric information on why, but this is a time to balance in the heart. And so beauty and power through divinity and harmony, just like we have in music, harmonizing is the power. Anything that pushes one into discord or just, and we all have our own ideas of beauty. So, and that's what Aquarius is about, uniqueness, but anything that's pushing people into chaos, not chaos in its positive form. In its positive form, it's the stuff that we create with. But in its negative form, it's about giving your consciousness to complete annihilated ineptness and inability to make cohesive sense out of what rises from within you, only being shown by the chaotic outer, what you are, and being blocked from what you really are. That's the chaos I'm talking about. So there's a push in society right now to get people to go into what's not so, what doesn't promote as much harmony. And we'll be continuing on with it. There's a lot to say. As always, there's always more we can say about all of this. So I don't claim to get this all in this video, but I'm hoping it will ask you to think about things. The future timelines. Oh yeah, there is a future timeline. It's the animal being versus the human being, and it's to block out all spiritual knowledge. Now, by animal, again, what we mean is being detached from the higher faculties and just living in the carnal desires, lust, greed, power, control, or just being like, can't get enough, materialism, the shadow side of Capricorn. All right, so I'm going to read a couple minutes of what I wrote. I won't go much longer, but I wrote down, world events are showing us more and more that we cannot rely upon those bodies who call themselves governing institutions, world corporations, banks, religious institutions, to uphold any kind of true moral fabric of a universal codex of truth. So when we're talking about moral fabric, I'm not talking about a particular religion. I'm talking about universal truths in goodness, in kindness, in sharing, in creativity, in knowledge, in wisdom, in learning, in our right to be what we want to be, meaning there's also a place for darkness. So this isn't about a utopia. Not at all about a utopia. This is about, again, we're talking about the Aquarius full moon. If you're just tuning in, this is about the ability to uphold for those who are not capable of it, for children, for those who are suffering or going through challenging times, the ability to uphold a good moral fabric so that we take care of our own. That's what I mean by moral fabric. It's proven that the entities in charge right now have lost authority and lost their credibility. Not everyone is bad. However, the overall picture is run by interests that don't serve the true igniting of genius in humanity. They only are meant to serve a few and to keep everyone else kind of on lockdown in slave mentality. We're truly enslaved, and that's what Capricorn represents. It represents bondage, represents prison. So it's a prisoned consciousness in its shadow. We see the corruption, the falsehood, the lust, the greed, the ineptness of a failed facade of leadership. Words are empty. They're not only empty, they're chaotic, and they're so immature. It's like there's no wisdom. Wisdom has become, it's just not in style. It's not cool to be wise. And it's so but you also see the look in people's eyes, even people reporting the news, they just seem blank. They just seem like they themselves, in fact, I think that they themselves are starting to see it. I think that the people running it are starting to see it. It's only as you get higher and higher up that the control is that dark. And so that's what's changing. It's going to change. It's just, I'm not really going to go there because humanity itself is waking up. We may have some challenges ahead of us, but still it's a time to dance, to celebrate, and to be happy that you're here. Make art, make creativity, celebrate with those people. I saw a video of people, where was it? It was in the UK, and they were talking about, and they were different colored skins, different racial, different cultural beliefs, different religions, different sexual orientations, and they were celebrating. They're saying, this divide between us is not real, and we can see it now, and we're happy to be alive and be waking up. It doesn't mean that everyone's good. There's always going to be good and bad, and we have to discern, but it doesn't mean we need to have a whole human consciousness war going on, or any kind of, I'm not, anyway, we'll leave it at that. We need a psycho-spiritual revolution, an awakening of consciousness. It's a powerful time to be a meditator, because meditating is it's the way to access just some stillness within, to just we talked about this in the Lion's Gate portal video. Take responsibility for your own auric field. Balance your emotional body so that you can't be triggered as much, and do the best you can. Just do the best you can to love, to be accountable, to be responsible, to create, and to do the best you can with what you have, to speak out. Obviously, we need to speak out for rights, but it's not necessarily as black and white as we thought it was. And it is certainly not the story, the narrative that's coming from the top. It's certainly not that narrative. That narrative cannot be believed. That's from my opinion. So the Age of Aquarius, and I'll get ready to wrap this up. The Age of Aquarius, and I'll check and see if there's any other questions. That was a really good question. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. I love it. Okay. The Age of Aquarius requires for us to take responsibility for our own consciousness. And we must find the spiritual practices, the practical practices that tune our frequency in, and keep our mental and emotional bodies harmonizing with one another. I just wrote this before the video. It kind of flowed in. And to repeat that, keep our mental and emotional bodies harmonizing with each other. We are responsible for our own words, our own thoughts, and our own actions. And that's really powerful. And it's so nice to see you. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'd love to hear if there's any new people on. I'd love to know where you're at. And also feel free to post any questions. So we're responsible for our words and actions as best we can be. Obviously, we all get triggered. We all go into fit. Right now is a really big time for being triggered. It's okay to be triggered, but do your best to get right back on the horse and to balance it out, use that triggering energy to create, meditate, celebrate. Anyone who has food on the table, loved ones within reach, within a phone call, within a text, within a way, has reason to celebrate being alive on this earth at this time. If you have a moment that you can just breathe in the air, this God-given air into your heart, it's reason enough to celebrate and get ready to do your part. It doesn't matter what you've been through. I share all the time. I've been through my share of challenges in a very, very, very major ways. And I know that it's oftentimes when we're the most compressed, the most challenged, that we rise above it all, that we kick it to the curb and we say, you know what, done. It's time to create. The most genius things have come from people who were pushed so far, who suffered so great. I can speak for myself here, that one day the well of the heart opened and the genius emerges and the voice emerges and the throat chakra is healed. The pineal pituitary glands are open. The heart is open. The sexual power and the solar plex are open, and we're able to create and use the power of our voice. All right, getting ready to wrap it up. But I just want to say, yes, so we take responsibility for our words, thoughts, and actions. Our spiritual practice gives us strength. It gives us discipline. We have to have some discipline. You can't cop out and say, throw it all up in the air. Who cares about discipline? It takes discipline to make those new grooves. Any spiritual teaching will tell you this. You've got to build it up. When you meditate just a few minutes every day at the same time every day, your power will flow into that meditation practice, and it will become a glowing beacon of light. It will direct your mind so that when the triggers come, instead you'll see the light and you'll go forward in your creative power. It's really important to be soft and kind and gentle with yourself, but don't let yourself off the hook. Be disciplined as well. Age of Aquarius. Stay connected to the center of power. That's what it helps us do, and really create a clear vision, pristine hearing, pristine vision, and connects us to the soul of the world. How to be the change for truth. We can all be the change for truth every day. Simply, if you see something on the ground, pick it up. If you see someone that looks like they need a friendly smile or a loving word, generously give it to them. Kindness is infectious. I've had days where I was having such a hard time and one unexpected person was kind to me. It's like everything opened up, and I couldn't even believe it. It changed. One act of kindness buried, or one act of humor or one joke can bury it and awaken us. It's that powerful. It's that simple. One person waking up, one person being kind, one person picking up sends the signal to the cosmic light coming in that we're ready for more and we receive more. Listen to somebody who you may have thought you disagreed with. Just simply listen and don't interrupt. Just give them a couple minutes to speak and try not to get triggered, but try to just hear them. Listening to someone you disagree with can heal not only the other person. Listening is one of the greatest powers on the planet. As the deeper I went into the divine feminine wisdom and writing years and years and years and years ago and discovered it within, I realized that listening is the true power. We're in a culture where listening is not encouraged, and we have to get silent and listen to know the truth. And so that's why we have all this chaos, all this discord, all this, be busy, be this, buy this, consume this, do this, go here. It's busyness to keep us from having those moments of pure listening within, or listening to somebody who needs to be heard. That's the greatest miracle on this earth. Sometimes you're walking around, you just need to be seen and heard. If you see someone like that and your heart's open and you feel it, that can be one of the greatest things ever. I'm going to go through this really quick, see if there's any last thing to say. I think we got it. It's a psycho-spiritual solution. See through the BS. So what do we have coming? Let's just talk about the massive awakening. Big things coming. We could see a full-on dismantling very soon of all the old structures. Don't give up hope. And again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the Aquarius full moon. Don't give up hope. Everything's going to be dismantled. And I've heard other astrologers talking about this. Leading up to the Pluto-Saturn conjunction, we may see, huge things are coming down because they're being undermined, and we just don't believe them. It doesn't mean that everybody in, let's say, the justice system or politics or government or religion is bad. We have to be careful about not thinking like that. But we need to know that as a whole, we may see some things change. How we can counter that is to create the new, very, very passionately and intently bring in the new. That's where, if you're bringing in the new, you're in your power right now. Doesn't mean you don't check in. I check in all the time to see what's going on, and I'm just like, it's amazing. But it's all happening. It's really all happening. When we saw when we saw the suicide in the prison, we know, and it's connected to human trafficking and all the great things of the elite, but the whole world, all of the institutions, money, religion, and just our collective knowing, we all knew. Something was triggered and we woke up. So I just want to say thank you. I'm glad we got to do this on Facebook today. I see a question. I'm just going to look at it. The sun is powerful. The sun represents the awakening and the rising of consciousness. The sun represents ascension. And there's a lot of esoteric wisdom in the Lionsgate Facebook Live I did. You could go back and check that out. But I just want to say, really wish everyone a powerful Aquarius full moon. And it was really wonderful to join you here today on Facebook. I'll probably upload this to YouTube I normally do the full length videos on YouTube at Shannon Port. If you've never seen them, that's where they're at. And I'll put this one up there after we finish. So namaste, everybody. Blessings and love and brotherhood and sisterhood. May it prevail. May it prevail now. May we really, truly create the new.